mistake. Let's turn to politics before we get into that. Donald Trump looking to show off his foreign policy mojo. The Trump campaign confirming to Fox News that they are trying to set up a meeting with Vladimir Putin at the United Nations later this month. I want to bring in Forbes media chairman and editor-in-chief Steve Forbes on the subject. Steve, good to see you.
Good to see you,
Thank you so
Maria.
much for joining us. So Trump and Putin.
Well, that's very interesting. What are they going to talk about?
Yeah, what are they going to talk about?
And maybe selling him something in Trump Tower if he gets overthrown from power in Russia. But meeting will get plenty of press coverage.
So you're saying that there's no substance there? That when you say you're saying it half facetiously, obviously.
Well, as Putin may say, yeah, he'd be a great negotiating partner. That would be very nice. But in terms of what's going to be done about Syria, Russia putting in military forces, doing something we got them out of the Middle East back in 1946. Now we're letting them back in. What's the implication of that? Now, when Trump said in the debate that he wants to meet with Putin, again, that begs the question: what policy are you going to pursue to get him out of Ukraine, stop going against your neighbors, stay out of the Arctic, stay out of the Syria? What's he going to do about that?
Well, it's interesting because, you know, Sandra, we don't hear any granular specifics on anything from Donald Trump, notably not foreign policy and Russia. And yet you don't think he lost any shine. He didn't have any
His
mistakes at the
supporters are
debate.
so diehard that I don't know that one debate is going to have them leaving Trump to go somewhere else, especially not that debate. Not that he had a horrible performance, and not a notable performance either, but I don't think he had, he lost anybody there. But Trump has been accused of not being specific, but he's almost to some degree, Steve, said, just put me in office, vote for me, and then I'll tell you how I'm going to handle all of this, right? I mean, isn't that basically what he's telling his supporters? Just trust me, I've got this. How can you run for president and win like that?
Well, he's understanding now that that's not going to get very far in that debate. Even though I don't think he hurt himself, the fact is, in the middle part of that debate, he couldn't participate in the discussions on specifics about policy.
Is that because he's not capable, do you think?
Of course he's capable.
Okay.
But he hasn't gotten the people ready yet. When you become the front runner, people expect that you're going to have who are your advisors, what your policies are going to be. They take you much more seriously than when you're down at 3 or 4%. And in terms of taxes, he's now got to introduce a tax policy in the next 2 to 4 weeks. What's that going to be?
He keeps promising it.
Well, when Reagan ran in 1980, he had specifics on taxes, on rebuilding the military, deregulation. That's why he won the election. That's what has to be done in 2016.
The only reason I ask if he's capable, sorry, Steve, I didn't mean to cut you off. The only reason I ask that is because when you look at the polls, while he's leading in the polls, at the same time, the polls do show that people don't see him, a majority of people don't see him as qualified to be president.
No, and Sandra, he's leading in the polls because people are angry. And by the way, they should be angry, right? But they're angry because of slow growth. But the antidote to slow growth is not Donald Trump. And I think, by the way, it's fitting, actually, that he's talking about me with Putin, because in many ways, they're the same guy, right? It's all bravado. It's all about showmanship. The two of them are going to take their shirts off and wrestle a tiger together. But that's fine for Russia. Okay, that's fine.
To talk about Trump with his shirt off.
That's fine for a third world country, but this is the United States of America. This is serious business. We need a growth strategy. Trump's policies so far, economic policies, largely resemble Bernie Sanders' economic policies. So this is not a growth strategy. Is he entertaining? Yes. Is he tapping into anger? Yes. But is it the answer? No, absolutely not.
Steve, 3 months ago, myself and I think a lot of other people didn't expect Trump to be where he is today. If he does have this sit down, if this actually materializes and he does have this sit down with Putin, isn't he kind of just proving that it kind of puts it more on a mantle where he does belong, where he is leading the race, which I don't think
it does.
He should be
if he wasn't the leader in the polls, Putin would not waste his time meeting with him. He's not meeting with the 15 other Republican candidates. So that part is very true. And in terms of policy, Trump did make immigration a policy. He made Mexico and Japan and China a policy. That's one of the reasons why he surged. It was not just that he has a lively personality. He put something on the table. And that's what you saw in the second debate, is others finally realized they've got to start putting real stuff on the table. They just can't have these vague generalities. So in that sense, he finally spurred these other ones. Get your act together.
Who did well in your view on the debate?
Obviously, Carly Fiorina. She's now part of the front-running pack. Rubio did. I thought he did well. Christie did well. He was about to be relegated to the kiddie table. Now he's a major player. And so those three, I think, were helped the most. Bush did not at least fall back, but he's got to, he's came out with a tax plan. I wish it had been more vigorous, but he's got to start hammering the growth theme, not just say I want 4%, but spell out how, why, and he can do it.
What do you think is Jeb's biggest problem right now?
The fact that he was seen as not really having that kind of a vibrant persona. You can't out-Trump Trump, so forget that.
Yeah.
You don't play.
Don't
Don't play in his sandbox. What you do is you create your own rules, and that's what he's got to do with the tax thing and other things. Go out there. Be vibrant in terms of convincing people that he's got a real substantive growth strategy. He did it as governor of Florida. Yeah. He can do it for the U.S. And he's also got to stay away from the traps about his brother, about his father. This is about the future, not about sibling rivalry or who punched whom in 8th grade and that kind of nonsense. Get away from it.
That's right. I was happy to see Jeb smile a little. I mean, he seemed to bring a different persona.
And that also hits Reagan had a soothing persona. But one of the things, even this debate, even though they hit the Democrats a little bit, they really haven't torn the bark off of Barack Obama. I mean, just hit him hard. And so instead of going after each other, don't get baited by the moderators.
That's a good point.
Hit at the big opponents.
The current administration.
Absolutely.
Jeb's best moment, in my opinion, was when Trump attacked his brother. And he said, our brother kept the country safe. I thought that's where you could kind of see his personality. But I think maybe everybody's afraid to get too animated because they realize they can't out-Trump Trump. So they're kind of letting Trump get
one of the things Christie realized was don't try to be what you're not. And so he was much more vigorous in this debate than he was in the other one. He was in there and made himself a presence. And that's like when you have 10 siblings or something. When you have 10 or 11 people at a forum, you cannot be passive. You got to take any opening you can to get your point across.
Real quick on the Fed. Good move or bad move?
Absolutely bad move. If you want credit markets to work, you have to have real prices. This is contractionary deflation, and the very thing they say they're against, they're promoting.
Well, I mean, global markets, global economy is weak. Now we know what the Fed thinks of the economy.
It's bad, and they're contributing to the bad global economy. That's what gets overlooked.
All right, Steve, good to talk with you. As
Thank
always,
you,
great
Maria.
insights from Steve Forbes.